Hi, my name is Akiade Adetunji. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and remember to hit the bell so you won't miss any of my tutorials. I want to say a big thank you to those of you who have subscribed to my channel and welcome to my How to Use Background series. Without any further ado, let's jump into today's tutorial. So this was one of the designs sent to me this week, and let's go straight to my slide to show you why I think the design is not successful. The reason why I think it's not strong is because if you look at the registration here and then you look at the phone numbers here, you realize that they both have similar sizes. Making the content on your design have similar sizes is going to affect the hierarchy. The pattern is good, but it's not strong to pass the message. And I realize again that we have some connected lines in the background, which I think is not necessary. The picture of the lady is not good for the project. This picture here does not flow with what the artwork is talking about. Because if you're talking about digital art, somebody who is drawing with PC will never use the mouse on a laptop. There's no way you can draw like that and your drawing will look nice. So the picture of the lady is not flowing with digital art. Before working on any project, always ask your clients questions. Ask them who are their target audience. Where will this artwork be seen? Know who their competitors are. Remember, surprise is a great tool for successful design. So let's go straight to the color harmony we're going to be using today. So the color harmony we're going to be using today is the rectangle color harmony. The application I'm going to be using is Adobe Photoshop. So this is the design brief. The concept I'm going to be using is going to be a picture of a lady. So I'm going to convert it to art. Okay, and the reason I'm using a picture is because I realized that when you use an abstract picture of someone as digital drawing, it catches more attention than just using patterns. So let's dive into today's tutorial. I'm going to click on File, select New, and the title of my artwork is going to be Art. So the width of my artwork is going to be 800 and the height is going to be 800. So because I'm going to be using so many effects here, I'm going to leave my resolution as 120. This is my own way of working. Okay, so I'm going to just leave the color mode to be RGB. Then I'm going to just hit OK. So I'm going to bring in the picture of the lady from the exercise file. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I crop pictures faster in Photoshop. So I'll go to select and I'll hit select and mask. Then I'll click the select subject option here. Then I'm going to increase the contrast a little bit just to add more pixels to the edges, and I'll select the contaminate colors, alright, to reduce the strength of the faded part of the edges, and I'll change this to new layer and I'll hit OK. So we have the picture of our character cropped from the background. So I'm just going to drag this with the move tool and drag and drop here like so. So I'll position this here, hit the free transform shortcuts, and I'll flip this horizontal, scale this down. So I'm going to filter and I'm going to select the filter gallery. Then I'm going to check the poster edges option here, and I'll leave my edge thickness to be 0. The edge intensity also should be 0, and then the posterize is going to be 2. And I'm just going to hit OK. So we're going to be using the custom brush as our Smudge Tool. So to do that, I'm going to go to File and I'll select New, and I'll make sure that my width is set to 1200, and I'll hit 1200, and this should be 72. Hit OK. So I'm going to select the Marquee tool here, and I'll hold down Shift and drag to create a perfect rectangle. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'll hit Alt Backspace to fill that layer with the color of my foreground, and I'm going to drag this and delete like so. So I'll go to Edit, and I'll select Define Brush Preset, and I'm going to give it a name. Okay. So if I go back to my project now and I select the brush tool, if you scroll down, you're going to see the brush here. Select the Smudge Tool, like so, and make sure I'm on this brush that I just created. Close the spacing, and I'm just going to reduce the size of the brush, like so. When you're applying the Smudge Tool, avoid making your brush go too much into another posterized shape. This is what I'm saying. Now, this color here is a posterized shape. This one here is also a posterized shape. If I drag this like this, now you see I have this shape going into another shape, right? Now, don't overdo it, like making it go from, I'm going to Ctrl Z to go back, making it go from here to here like so. All right. So when you're doing it, just make sure that you're stopping it somewhere around here. If you apply this again, you stop around here. If you're doing this again, you do this the same way. So one other thing I want you guys to know again is you need to change the size of your brush as you apply the Smudge Tool, because for example, if I want to apply the Smudge Tool to this part of the face, my brush size shouldn't be this big. Okay, so I'm going to reduce my brush size and I'm going to apply the Smudge Tool to this part of the face. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do now is to make a copy of the character. I'm going to call this oil. So we're going to apply oil paint filter to this project now. So I'll click on filter and I'll select style lines and select oil paint. Go to be 1.3 like so. Make this 1.2. This is going to be 0.5. Okay, now remember to uncheck the lightning option here. So I'm just going to hit OK. I'm going to go to filter, sharpen, and I'll select on sharp marks first. And I'm just going to leave every setting the way they are, and I'll hit OK. And I'll go to filter again, and I'll go to smart, I'll go to sharpen, and I'll select smart sharpen. So for this one, I'm just going to reduce the radius a little bit, and I'll say OK. So I'm just going to click on the curve adjustment button here, and I'm going to click on this icon to apply it to just only that layer, and I'm going to drag this down like so. All right, now I only want it to touch the darker part of the project, so I'm just going to double click here, and I'll move from this side to this side. All right, like so. All right, so I'm going to hold on Alt and break the handle, and this should go in like so, and this should go this way like so. All right, cool. So for the highlights, I'm going to go to the curve adjustment again, and I'm just going to click, and this time I'm just going to push this up like so. Then I'll click on the same icon again, hit Ctrl I on my keyboard, all right, to change the layer mask of that curve to black. And I'm going to select brush, go to the brush settings, and I'm going to be using a soft round brush here, like so. Put the spacing, and I'll zoom in. All right, so I'm going to create a new layer by clicking on this icon here, and I'll call this lights. Okay, and I'm going to push this inside the clipping mask of that layer, and I'm going to switch the white, check the pen pressure option here, align like so here. All right, then I want to check this, increase the size of my brush, and reduce my float. Push this down to 3. I'm just going to brush like so. So I'll put the drawing in a group. So I'll shift select the layers and I'll hit Ctrl G. And I'm going to hide this. And I'll hit Alt backspace to fill the red to the layer. I need to make it more darker. And let's bring in the picture of the pattern. So I'm just going to drag that and drop here like so. I'm going to hold down Ctrl and click. And I'm going to create a new layer with Alt, hold down, and click on the new layer button right there. And I'll hold this red and I'll hit OK. Come here and pick a lighter shade of red. And I'll hit backspace. Hit the Ctrl D to deselect the marquee selection around the pattern. And I'm going to hide this one. You know what, maybe we should just reduce the opacity a little bit more, like so. And the next thing I'm going to do is to use the curve adjustment to just add some effect on the background. So I'm going to drag that down like so. Alright, then I'm going to select the brush tool. And I'll go to the brush settings. And I'm going to use this type of brush here. I'll put this in, reduce the size of the brush. I can even still do that by using the square bracket. And I need to change this to black by hitting Ctrl I on my keyboard. And I'm just going to brush. So I'm going to drag and drop the picture of this branch image. And I'm just going to increase the size. Okay. And I'll go to the curve adjustment. And I'm just going to dial this down a little bit more. Just like so. Okay. Then next is to make the picture of the drawing visible. So I'm going to just make a copy of this again. So I'm just going to right click and convert it to a smart object. And I'll go to filter and I'll select stylize. And I'll choose the oil filter option here. And I'll hit OK. So, but because I don't want this to apply to every part of my project, I'm just going to click on the layer mask button here. And I'll hit Ctrl I on my keyboard. And I'll zoom in, select the brush tool. And I'll use the hard brush to do this. So I'm just going to put this again in a group by holding Shift to select the layer, and I'll hit Ctrl G. I'm going to call this Earth. Gradient map option here, and I'll click to say I only want it to apply to the layer, and I'm just going to click here. Like so, and I hit OK. Okay, like so. I'll hit the Ctrl I to change the color of my layer mask to black. And I'm just going to select the brush setting here and use the soft round brush. Make sure you're on the brush tool. Just increase the size of my brush. So next is to create a new layer again. And I'll change this to dodge and I'll put this box here and I'll hit OK. So I only want it to apply to just only the layer. So I'm just going to hold on Alt and click. And this time I'm going to come here to pick the same shade of green and just make it brighter a little bit. And I'm going to turn on my pen pressure option here and I'm just going to brush like so. Just going to brush here like so. Alright, do the same thing here. I think I need to darken this a little bit more, so I'm just going to go to the curve adjustment. So next thing I'm going to do now is to just stroke on the body of the character. So I'm going to hold down Alt and click to create a new layer, and I'll call this stroke, and I'll hit OK. Then switch to black here, go to my brush setting, use the hard brush, turn on the pen pressure option here because I'm using a graphic tablet. Create a new layer, alright, and I'll call this button. Let's just make this side more darker, so I'm just going to hold to the curve adjustment and I'm going to push this down. So what I'm going to do now is to add my text. To add noise to this project, so I'm going to hold down Alt and click. I'll change this to soft lights. So I'll check the fill with soft light neutral color 50% gray option and I'll hit OK. Then I'm going to go to filter and I'm going to select noise and select add noise. So I'm going to push this up. Now you see we have that noise paper fill on the project. So I'm just going to hit OK. I'm going to add all the information. Make this visible, make this visible. Then I'm going to just use Ctrl Shift Alt and E. So I'm going to select the Smudge Tool and click on this brush. Move this in, just like this. Alright. So I'm going to make all the information visible again. And we have this. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and if you have not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and remember to ring the bell. If you're able to achieve anything with the help of this tutorial, remember to tag me. My Instagram name is right here on the screen. I'll see you guys again in my next tutorial. Peace.